10 deep breaths. That is all we are talking about. Not a gym membership, not a supplement stack, not a 2-hour wellness routine, just 10 intentional deep breaths every single morning. And what happens to your lungs and your entire body when you actually commit to this for weeks on end is something most people have never been told. We are going to walk through this week by week because the changes do not all happen at once. They layer on top of each other in a way that is genuinely fascinating once you understand the mechanics behind it. So let us start with what is actually happening inside your chest the very first time you do this. Most people spend their entire lives breathing at about 20 to 30% of their total lung capacity. Read that again. Your lungs are capable of holding roughly 6 liters of air, but the shallow, unconscious breathing most of us do every day barely scratches the surface of that potential. When you take a full deep breath, you are expanding the lower lobes of your lungs regions that barely get activated during normal breathing. These lower lobes are also the most densely packed with blood vessels. More blood flow means more oxygen exchange, and that single fact drives almost everything that follows. Week 1 is where it gets interesting immediately. On day 1, the first thing you will notice is a mild lightheadedness. Do not be alarmed. This is not dangerous. What is happening is that you are suddenly flooding your bloodstream with more oxygen than it is used to receiving at that hour. Your carbon dioxide levels shift slightly, and your brain notices. By days 3 and 4, that sensation disappears entirely. Your respiratory system is already beginning to recalibrate. The diaphragm, which is the primary muscle of breathing and which most people have essentially turned into a passive, underused structure, begins to activate more forcefully. You are essentially waking up a muscle that has been sleeping. Respiratory researchers refer to this as diaphragmatic recruitment. And even in the first week, the muscle begins to respond to the daily stimulus. Your alveoli, the tiny air sacs where oxygen crosses into the blood, also begin to open up more consistently. Imagine hundreds of millions of tiny balloons that have been partially deflated for years. Deep breathing begins inflating them properly. This increases what is called your functional residual capacity, the amount of air that stays in your lungs between breaths. More residual air means your lungs are never completely empty, which means the next breath delivers oxygen more efficiently. By week 2, something starts happening that goes beyond just the lungs. When you breathe deeply, particularly with a slow and controlled exhale, you are directly stimulating the vagus nerve. This nerve is the main communication highway between your brain and your body. It governs your parasympathetic nervous system, the rest and recovery mode that most people in modern life are chronically starved of. Slow, deep breathing tells your brain that you are safe. It lowers the baseline levels of cortisol, the stress hormone that most people carry elevated every morning simply from the act of waking up and checking their phones. By the end of week 2, people consistently report sleeping better. They fall asleep faster and wake up feeling less foggy. This is not coincidence, it is physiology. Lower cortisol in the morning means a healthier cortisol curve throughout the day, which means melatonin production at night is not suppressed. Week 3 brings visible changes to your breathing mechanics. The intercostal muscles, the small muscles between your ribs, have now been stretched and activated repeatedly enough that your rib cage itself begins to expand more freely. Your chest circumference during a full inhale actually increases compared to week 1. This is measurable. Singers and professional wind instrument musicians train for this exact adaptation deliberately, and it takes them weeks of daily practice. You are achieving the same result just by doing your 10 breaths every morning. Lung compliance also improves during this window. Compliance is a medical term describing how easily lung tissue stretches and expands. Healthy, elastic lung tissue expands readily. Lungs that have been chronically underused can stiffen slightly over time. Regular deep breathing maintains and gradually improves this elasticity, essentially keeping the tissue supple. Think of it like stretching a rubber band every day versus leaving it in a drawer for years. Week 4 is where many people experience what they describe as feeling like they have a new chest. The combined effect of better diaphragmatic strength, improved rib cage mobility, enhanced alveolar function, and reduced systemic stress creates a noticeably different experience of everyday breathing. People report that regular activity feels less winded. Climbing stairs, walking quickly, carrying bags, these things feel slightly easier. Not because their cardiovascular fitness has dramatically changed, but because their lungs are operating more efficiently as a baseline. You are getting more oxygen per breath than you were a month ago. There is also a measurable impact on blood pressure by this point. Studies on slow, controlled deep breathing consistently show reductions in both systolic and diastolic blood pressure after several weeks of regular practice. The mechanism involves something called baroreceptor sensitivity. Deep breathing trains these pressure sensors in your blood vessels to respond more accurately and efficiently to changes, keeping your vascular system better regulated. Moving into weeks 5 and 6, the benefits compound in ways that connect your lungs to systems you might not expect. Your lymphatic system, which has no pump of its own and relies entirely on muscular movement and pressure changes to circulate, gets a meaningful boost from regular deep breathing. The pressure changes inside your chest act like a gentle pump for lymphatic fluid. This fluid carries immune cells and helps clear cellular waste from tissues. Better lymphatic flow means your immune system is more active and your tissues are recovering from daily cellular stress more efficiently. Your brain is also receiving measurably better oxygenation by this stage. Cerebral blood flow increases with improved respiratory efficiency. People who have maintained a daily deep breathing practice for 5 to 6 weeks often report sharper mental clarity in the mornings, reduced anxiety as a baseline state, and better emotional regulation throughout the day. These are not small benefits. These are changes that affect the quality of every hour you live. Here is something almost nobody talks about. Your posture changes. The diaphragm is connected to your spine through a structure called the crura. When your diaphragm strengthens and becomes more active, it creates better support and alignment in your lower spine and core. People who practice daily deep breathing often find that chronic lower back tension begins to ease, not because they stretched their back, but because their breathing mechanics improved. By the time you reach the 2-month mark, your 10 morning breaths have essentially become a complete biological reset ritual. Your lungs are more elastic, your diaphragm is stronger, your nervous system starts each day in a calmer baseline state, your blood pressure is lower, your lymphatic system is more active, your brain is receiving better oxygen delivery, and your core stability has quietly improved, all from 10 breaths. The beautiful reality is that this habit costs nothing. It requires no equipment, no special location, no expertise. You wake up, you sit at the edge of your bed, you breathe in slowly and fully through your nose for about 5 seconds. You hold briefly, you exhale completely for about 7 seconds, and you repeat this 10 times. Total time is under 3 minutes, but the cumulative physiological effect of doing this every single morning is genuinely remarkable. When you look at what is actually changing inside your body week after week, the lungs are one of the few organs you can consciously exercise with virtually no barrier to entry. Your heart needs cardiovascular training, your muscles need resistance, but your lungs respond to something as simple as intention and attention directed toward your own breath. Start tomorrow morning. Do not wait for the perfect moment or the right setup. Just breathe. Your body already knows exactly what to do with the signal. Give it that signal every morning and watch what changes. Drop in the comments how many days you can make it without missing a morning. I want to know where you are starting from, and I will see you in the next video.